I'm Chef Frank, this is Protocooks, and today we're making pancakes. Pancakes, hot cakes, griddle cakes, flapjacks, whatever you want to call them, people love them. And today we're going to learn the way that I make them. I've been making this recipe for about 10 years. I forget where I got it, but I've tweaked it over the years and it yields this beautiful, light, fluffy pancake. Growing up, my dad used to work nights and he would come home and make us breakfast when he got home from work. And he would make French toast or pancakes. And usually the pancakes were out of a package, like, a mix, where you just have to add water and you just go. What I want to show you today is that it's a little more effort to make pancakes from scratch, but it is 10, 20, 100 times better than what you get in a box. Let's talk about the ingredients for my pancakes. All-purpose flour, milk. I'm using 2%. If you have whole milk, or 1%, you can use whatever you have in house. Large eggs, sugar, baking powder and baking soda, salt, vanilla, some vegetable oil, and some apple cider vinegar. I get some nice apple cider vinegar. I have a couple other things here too. I have butter. I have salted butter for when the pancakes are cooked. I feel like maple syrup and salted butter go really well together, so I always have a little bit of salted butter to spread on my pancakes when they're cooked. And then I use unsalted butter to cook my pancakes. And I'm using a griddle today. I'm gonna butter that griddle up real well. And then I have maple syrup. Grade A, 100% pure, amber, maple syrup. As always, the recipe is in the description down below. Go check it out. Before we start cooking, I want to talk about a couple of things. First of all, baking powder and baking soda. And I use both of them here to give my pancakes extra lift and a little height. Baking soda is activated with an acid, and we're using apple cider vinegar for that. So that'll give us a little activation and make things puff up. If you ever were in science class as a kid, you would put baking soda in your volcano, and then you pour vinegar on it and you get a beautiful volcano explosion. And that's what happens when we add the baking soda. Baking powder is basically a mixture of bicarbonate and acid, and this is activated with liquid. So it's a little slower than the baking soda. So I add both so I get extra lift, okay? Next thing I want to talk about is maple syrup. Now, if you're like me, you grew up in a house where we got the store brand pancake syrup. It's not real maple syrup, it's corn syrup and maple flavoring. Even to this day, my wife and my daughter like the pancake syrup better than the pure maple syrup. But I want you to promise me you're gonna try 100% pure, grade A amber maple syrup. I don't think you'll ever go back to pancake syrup. I like this so much better. It's slightly more expensive, but it's well worth it, and it's a great product, so give it a shot. What I want to do first is mix my wet ingredients. I have my milk. I'm going to pour this into the bowl. Now, what I'm going to add to this, I'm adding acid to this. And what this is going to do is it might curdle my milk a little. So it's kind of making like a buttermilk-like mixture. I found that buttermilk pancakes are good, but I just like this a lot better. So I'm going to add my vinegar, my vegetable oil. So all my liquids are going to go in. My vanilla goes in. And then my eggs. Look at that one-handed flex. My dad taught me this. When I was a kid, I was blown away by him being able to crack eggs with one hand, and he said he learned it in the Army. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is just mix this together and just set it aside for like 5 minutes. Doesn't have to set aside for that long. I'm just gonna get the eggs really well incorporated, break up your yolks. Good. Good. So I have a really nice mixture here, and now we're gonna go to the dry. Next thing we wanna do is get our dry stuff together, our dry ingredients, and I have some all-purpose flour. And I'm gonna do the scoop and sweep technique. I have a flat, or I have like just a spatula here, and what you do is you get it in there. You don't wanna pack it down, but you just wanna scoop and sweep, just so it's nice and flat. Get in there. Do your sweep. You can use a butter knife for this too. And this just gives us a standard measurement. Usually what you do in the restaurant industry is you'll measure this by weight. Weight is always a little bit better, but as home cooks, we tend to measure with volume. Okay, so there's our flour. I'll put that aside. I'm gonna take everything else and just go in. Sugar, salt, baking powder, and baking soda all go in. And I'm just gonna give this a quick mix to make sure everything's incorporated. You can use a whisk for this if you want, but I'm just gonna mix it together, get it all incorporated. Now that this is mixed, we'll bring the wet and the dry together. And now all I'm gonna do is take the wet ingredients and pour them into the dry. And I'm gonna fold this together. I'm not really gonna mix this really hard. I'm just going to make sure that everything is combined, right? And what you don't wanna do at this point is over mix. I always mix my pancake batter and it's always a little bit lumpy, okay? I get most of the lumps out, but I'm not mixing it so much that it gets smooth. Smooth pancake batter, to me, is over mixed. And what you can see right now is, you can see that it's making a lot of bubbles. I added the baking soda and the acid together, and look at all the bubbles. So it's getting nice and light. At this point, I leave it alone, I put it aside, and we're gonna cook it. We're ready to cook, but I wanna talk about my griddle. I love this griddle. If you don't have a griddle, you can use a saute pan on your stove. That's totally fine. I just feel like when you have pancakes, if you have a small pan, you only make like 1 or 2 at a time. And I like this because I can make like 8 at a time or 6 at a time if they're a little bit larger. So I would invest in this. I use this for smash burgers. I use it for quesadillas. You can see, because I have a little browning on here, it's well used. We probably paid about 40 bucks for it. I'll put a couple of different brands in the description of different costs, but the griddle for me is the way to go. This is a non-stick griddle, but I still use butter because butter is gonna give us some flavor. So that's what I'm gonna do. I have our unsalted butter. Nice amount of butter. I want crispy edges, the most I can. We're at about 300 degrees, and I'm gonna cook. Don't stir your pancake batter. Just put it on the griddle. Nice big scoops. Oh, that one's gonna have a nice knob of butter in it. Just scoop it out. No stirring, nice and easy. We don't want to beat any of the air out. I'm not too worried that they're super round. I just want them to have nice crispy edges. And now we wait, don't mess with them. What we're looking for is that the bubbles are going to break and stay open on the surface. If you try and turn them before that, what's gonna happen is your pancakes are gonna splatter everywhere. So this is what we're looking for. You see that bubble right there? It's about to pop. That's what we want. That bubble to pop and it to kind of get like dotted with bubbles. Let me look, see the color. We're not there yet, we're gonna give it another minute. You gotta be patient. You can see that our pancakes are rising. We're getting a little lift from the heat as well. They're bubbling away. That butter is doing its job, trying to make the edges nice and crispy. Time to flip, okay? You see how my bubbles are popping and leaving little kind of holes there? I get under my pancake, and I usually try and flip away from me so the butter doesn't splatter. Get under there and give it a flip. That's what I like to see. Nice crispy edges, not too dark. But you can see my edges get nice and crisp, and that's what I want. Now we leave them alone for another minute or two until they're cooked all the way through, and then we'll plate them up and eat them. There is a temptation to take this and press on them. Do not push down on these. Whenever I see people cooking pancakes, they press down on them. What are they doing? They're knocking the air out. Do not knock the air out. They don't need any attention except for flipping. Do not press down on your pancakes, ever. Okay, let's take them off. I have a nice plate over here. I always put the ugliest one on the bottom. And then I just stack them up. I think 4 is a good serving for this. We'll put that pretty one on top. I got my nice stack. Let me clear off my area and I'll show you how I dress these pancakes. Pancakes are done, ready to go. I'm going to kind of dress them or make them the way that I like it. I like lots of salted butter. I have my beautiful little Pyrex butter dish. I'm just gonna cut the butter into slices and I'm gonna put a little bit of butter on each layer because I like lots of butter. That salty, sweet kind of like mix really does it for me. So you're gonna say, hey, Chef Frank, that's a ton of butter. Yeah, it is, because that's the way I like it, okay? And then I have my maple syrup. I'm just gonna go very liberally over the top. Oh my goodness, look at that. It's beautiful. Okay, let me get a fork and let's taste this. Let's give them a taste. Take a little bit of that butter, a little bit of that syrup. Got my napkin. Super tender, super flavorful, absolutely delicious. Try this recipe. You'll love it. I promise your family will love it too. And that's my pancakes. I love hearing your pancake stories. Leave them in the comments. Tell me what you do. I try and read as many comments as I can. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give us a thumbs up, like, subscribe, hit the little bell to get notified when we have new videos. We sell merch in the link down below. Need Salt, I Control the Salt t-shirts. Check out our P.O. box down below if you ever want to send us anything. We also have a Patreon account. I want to thank all my patrons for supporting us. And that's it. Pancakes. I hope you love them. I'm Chef Frank. This is Protocooks. Have a great day.